My name is Cassandra. I'm 34 years old, and today is my sister Stephanie's baby shower at Roosevelt Gardens. Our relationship has always been strained, but I never imagined what was about to happen. As the guests mingled, Stephanie made a cruel joke about my single status, casting an awkward, heavy silence over the room. Just when I thought I couldn't feel more humiliated, the door opened and a handsome man walked in, a little girl holding his hand. I had no idea how this stranger was about to turn everything upside down. Before I tell you how this man changed my life, let me know where you're listening from, and hit like and subscribe if you've ever been judged for your life choices. The morning of Stephanie's baby shower, I stood in front of my closet for longer than necessary, scrutinizing every outfit. As an interior designer in Chicago, I usually dressed with confidence, but family gatherings always made me second-guess myself. I finally settled on a powder blue midi dress, fashionable without being flashy. Heaven forbid I outshine the mother-to-be. My apartment was a testament to my success, a spacious downtown loft with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city skyline. I'd transformed it from a stark industrial space into a sophisticated home featured in several design magazines. This space represented everything I prioritized: my career, my independence, my vision. While my friends were getting married and having kids throughout their 20s and 30s, I was building Cassie Anderson interiors from the ground up. It wasn't that I was against marriage or family. I just hadn't met someone who made me want to rearrange my priorities. My last serious relationship ended 2 years ago, when Brian gave me a marriage ultimatum that felt more like a business deadline than a proposal. I chose myself. My phone buzzed with a text from my mother. "Don't forget your gift. Stephanie is registered at 4 different stores." I glanced at the meticulously wrapped package on my counter, a high-end baby carrier that cost more than my first month's rent. Not that Stephanie would appreciate it. Nothing I ever did measured up in my family's eyes. Stephanie was 2 years younger than me, but had somehow positioned herself as the family's golden child. She became a pediatrician, married a surgeon named David, bought a house in the suburbs with a white picket fence, and now, right on schedule, was expecting a baby. My parents never explicitly said they preferred her life choices to mine, but their constant questions about my love life and pointed remarks about my ticking biological clock made their feelings perfectly clear. I grabbed my keys and the gift, took one last look in the mirror, and gave myself a quick pep talk. 6 hours. You just have to survive for 6 hours. The drive to Roosevelt Gardens took 40 minutes, giving me plenty of time to rehearse answers to the inevitable questions about my love life. I'm focusing on my business right now. The right person just hasn't come along yet. I'm actually really happy with my life as it is. All true statements, but all met with pitying smiles and well-meaning but condescending advice. When I arrived, the venue looked like something out of a magazine. White roses and baby's breath arrangements adorned every surface. A banner reading, "Welcome Baby Jameson," hung across the entrance. Leave it to Stephanie to have the most Pinterest-perfect baby shower imaginable. I pasted on my best smile and walked in, immediately spotting my mother directing the catering staff with military precision. She rushed over when she saw me, her eyes immediately falling to my gift. "Cassie, you're 15 minutes late. Everyone's already here." She fussed with my hair, a childhood habit that still grated on my nerves. "Stephanie was just asking about you." "Traffic," I lied, knowing full well I had circled the block 3 times to delay my entrance. "The place looks beautiful, doesn't it? Stephanie planned it all herself, even with her busy schedule at the hospital. Such an organized girl." The implication, of course, was that I was not. I scanned the room, counting at least 30 women chatting in small clusters. I recognized aunts, cousins, Stephanie's friends from medical school, and a few neighbors from our childhood street. Everyone important in Stephanie's life was here to celebrate her. Aunt Margaret spotted me and waved enthusiastically. I braced myself as she hurried over, knowing exactly what was coming. "Cassandra, dear, it's been too long." She enveloped me in a cloud of expensive perfume. "You look wonderful. Have you found a special man in your life yet?" And so it began. "Not at the moment, Aunt Margaret. My business is keeping me pretty busy." I deflected. "How is Uncle Phil enjoying retirement?" She launched into a detailed account of their recent cruise, giving me a moment to breathe. Across the room, I caught Stephanie's eye. My sister was radiant in a light blue maternity dress that highlighted her 7-month bump. She gave me a small wave, but made no move to greet me. I would have to go to her, as always. I wove my way through the crowd, accepting hugs and dodging personal questions as efficiently as possible. By the time I reached Stephanie, I had already explained my single status to 5 relatives and 2 of her friends. "You made it," Stephanie said, accepting my obligatory hug. "I was starting to think you were going to be a no-show." "And miss my only sister's baby shower? Never." I handed her the gift. "This is for baby Jameson." "Thanks. You can just put it on the table with the others." She gestured toward a table already groaning under the weight of presents. "Mom told me your business is doing well. That must keep you busy." The way she said busy made it sound like a consolation prize. "It does. I just finished a project for that tech CEO who was featured in Forbes last month." I couldn't stop the note of pride that crept into my voice. "Oh, that's nice. It must be so fulfilling to decorate other people's homes." Before I could respond to the thinly veiled Barb, her friend Lisa called her over to meet someone's mother, leaving me standing alone with my gift still in hand. I placed it on the designated table and made a beeline for the mimosa station. It was going to be a long afternoon. The first hour passed in a blur of baby shower games that seemed designed to highlight my outsider status. Guess the baby food and pin the diaper on the baby were innocent enough, but share your favorite motherhood memory left me sitting in silence while others cooed over first steps and cute mispronunciations. I busied myself helping my mother pass around finger sandwiches and refill punch glasses, playing the part of the helpful daughter to avoid conversations. My cousin Rebecca cornered me near the dessert table. "So, no +1 today? I thought after Brian you'd have found someone new by now." I offered a tight-lipped smile. "I'm taking a break from dating, just focusing on myself." "How brave." Her tone suggested it was anything but. "You know, my friend Mark is divorced, but he's really nice. I could give him your number." "I appreciate the thought, but I'm okay," I said, grabbing a chocolate-covered strawberry to avoid further discussion. "Well, don't wait too long," she whispered conspiratorially. "The good ones get snatched up fast after 30. I excused myself and escaped to the restroom, needing a moment alone. In the mirror, I looked exactly how I felt, slightly flushed, a strained smile plastered at the corners of my mouth. I reapplied my lipstick and reminded myself that I had a beautiful life, one built entirely on my own terms. It didn't matter what anyone in that room thought. I was proud of it. When I returned, it was time for Stephanie to open her gifts. Everyone gathered in a circle around her chair, which had been decorated with blue and white ribbons to look like a throne. Mom assigned Lisa to log each gift for thank you notes, and the unwrapping began. Stephanie performed perfectly, oohing and awing with the appropriate levels of surprise and gratitude for each item. "Oh, this is exactly what we wanted," she exclaimed over a set of organic cotton onesies. "How did you know?" she cooed over a baby monitor that was clearly on her registry. When she got to my gift, I felt an irrational knot of nerves. The carrier was top of the line, ergonomic and stylish, recommended by every parenting blog I had frantically researched the night before. "From Cassie," Stephanie announced, carefully removing the wrapping paper. She held up the carrier and examined it. "Oh, it's nice." Just nice. Not exactly what she wanted, not perfect, just nice. "It's the one that was featured in Parents magazine last month," I offered. "They say it's the best for back support." "I think I registered for a different one, but this is fine, thanks." She set it aside and reached for the next gift, effectively dismissing my contribution. I felt my cheeks burn, but kept the smile fixed on my face. Across the circle, my mother gave me a slight shrug, as if to say, "What did you expect?" After the gifts, it was time for toasts. Lisa, as Stephanie's maid of honor and apparently all-around life moment bestie, went first. She shared a touching story about Stephanie's journey to motherhood. her dedication to her pediatric patients, and how she was going to be the most amazing mom ever. Then my mother spoke, her voice thick with emotion about her first grandchild. She recounted how Stephanie had always been maternal, always knew she wanted a family, always been responsible and nurturing. The room turned to me expectantly. As the sister, I was obviously next in line. I hadn't prepared anything, assuming I'd be able to fade into the background as usual. I cleared my throat and raised my glass. To my little sister, you've always known exactly what you wanted, and you've gone after it with determination. I know you'll bring that same dedication to motherhood, to Stephanie and baby Jameson. Short, but heartfelt. I thought I'd navigated the moment successfully, until Stephanie took the microphone back. Thanks, sis. She smiled, but the smile didn't reach her eyes. You know, it's funny. Growing up, everyone always thought Cassie would be the first to get married and have kids because she was older. But here I am, beating her to the finish line. A ripple of uneasy laughter spread through the room. I guess some of us just had different priorities, she continued, patting her stomach. But if you wait much longer, Cass, we might have to look into some fertility treatments for you. At least one of us managed to land a husband before her eggs dried up. The room fell silent for a beat, before a few uncomfortable chuckles broke out. Someone near the back audibly gasped. I stood frozen, my champagne glass halfway to my lips, unable to process that my own sister had just publicly mocked my single, childless status at her own baby shower. My mother quickly interjected, "Well, everyone has their own path. Who wants cake?" But the damage was done. I could feel eyes on me, some sympathetic, some amused, all of them seeing me as the pitiful older sister who couldn't get her life together. My carefully constructed confidence crumbled in an instant. I set my glass down with trembling fingers and excused myself. "I just need some air," I mumbled to no one in particular, making my way toward the garden doors on legs that felt like jelly. Outside, the cool spring air was a balm against my flaming face. I found a stone bench partially hidden by a blossoming cherry tree and sank onto it, finally letting the tears fall. They weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of rage and frustration, built up over years of snide remarks and backhanded compliments. How dare she? How dare Stephanie use her moment of celebration to publicly humiliate me? And how dare our family laugh along as if my life choices were a punchline? I angrily swiped at my cheeks, smearing expensive mascara across my face. In that moment, I hated my sister. I hated that she could still make me feel so small, despite everything I had achieved. I hated the part of me that still craved her and my parents' approval, even when I knew it would never come. The garden was blissfully empty, everyone inside focused on the cake-cutting ceremony I was now missing. Good. Let Stephanie have her perfect moment without her spinster sister lurking in the background. I found a tissue in my purse and blotted my eyes, trying to salvage what was left of my makeup. A glance in my compact mirror revealed raccoon eyes and blotchy cheeks. So much for maintaining my dignity. "Are you okay?" The small voice startled me. I looked up to see a little girl with copper-colored curls and serious brown eyes watching me with curiosity. She couldn't have been more than 7, wearing a yellow sundress with a cardigan that had butterflies embroidered on the pockets. "I'm fine, sweetie," I said automatically, snapping my compact shut. "Just needed some fresh air." "You don't look fine. You look sad." She tilted her head. "My daddy says it's okay to be sad sometimes, but it helps to talk about it." Before I could respond, a deeper voice called out, "Emma, where did you go?" A moment later, a man appeared from around the corner of the garden path. He was tall, with dark hair that was slightly tousled, as if he ran his hands through it often. When he spotted the little girl, relief washed over his face. "Emma, you can't just wander off like that," he said, hurrying over. "I wasn't wandering. I was exploring," she corrected him, dead serious. His eyes landed on me, and I was suddenly painfully aware of my tear-streaked face and ruined makeup. Embarrassment washed over me. "I'm so sorry if my daughter bothered you," he said, his voice full of genuine concern. "Emma has a habit of making friends wherever she goes." She wasn't bothering me, I assured him, attempting a smile. She just caught me by surprise. He studied me for a moment, then reached into his pocket and pulled out a clean handkerchief. Who even carried handkerchiefs anymore? Here, he offered. This might help. I took it gratefully. Thank you. I must look a mess. You look like someone who needed a minute away from the party, he said diplomatically. We're late too. I'm Nathan Wilson, and this is my daughter Emma. Cassandra Anderson, I replied, using the handkerchief to blot away the worst of the mascara smudges. Cassie, he said, a flicker of recognition in his eyes. You're Stephanie's sister. She's mentioned you. My stomach tightened. All good things, I'm sure, I said, unable to hide the sarcasm. A corner of Nathan's mouth twitched. Actually, she mostly mentioned that you're an interior designer. I just moved here and bought a house that's in desperate need of a renovation. Daddy says it has good bones but bad skin, Emma piped up. That made me laugh, a real laugh. That's a very accurate way to describe a lot of houses. Why were you crying? Emma asked, with a frankness that was refreshing after an afternoon of veiled comments. Emma, Nathan chided gently. That's a bit personal. It's okay, I said, surprised to find I didn't mind her question. Sometimes grown-ups say things that hurt each other's feelings, even sisters. Emma nodded solemnly. Like when Lily at school said my drawings were stupid because I made the sun purple. Exactly like that, I agreed. Was your sun purple because that's how you wanted it to be? No, it was purple because it was tired of being yellow, she said pragmatically, making me laugh again. But I still liked it. Smart girl, I said. Sometimes you just have to work with what you've got, right? Nathan watched our exchange with an expression I couldn't quite decipher. We should probably go in and say our congratulations, he said. I work with Stephanie at the Chicago Children's Hospital. I'm the new pediatrician in her practice. That explained his presence at a mostly female event. Have you been in Chicago long? Just 3 months, he said. We moved from Boston after... He glanced at Emma, who had wandered a few feet away to inspect a butterfly on a bush. After we needed a fresh start. Something in his tone told me there was more to that story. Just then, Emma came skipping back to us. Are you coming to have cake with us? Daddy said there's going to be cake. There will definitely be cake, I confirmed. And yes, I'll come with you. Emma beamed and impulsively grabbed my hand. Good, you can sit with us. Daddy doesn't know how to talk at parties. He gets all awkward. Nathan groaned. And that's quite enough revelations about me for one day, thank you, Emma. I felt lighter than I had all day. If it makes you feel any better, I'm not much of a party person either. Why not? Emma asked. Parties have cake. They do have cake, I agreed. That's probably the best part. As we walked back toward the house, Emma between us still holding my hand, Nathan said quietly, Whatever happened back there, just remember, people who try to make others feel small are usually just trying to feel bigger themselves. I glanced at him, surprised by the insight. That's actually very wise. I have my moments, he said with a self-deprecating smile. They're few and far between, but they happen. For the first time all day, I felt like I could breathe. I had walked into the garden humiliated and alone. Somehow, I was walking back with allies. We re-entered through the garden doors, stepping from the quiet tranquility into the cacophony of chatter and laughter from the baby shower. Stephanie was in the center of the room, one hand resting on her bump, the other gesturing animatedly as she told some story that had her audience captivated. Her eyes flicked to us as we entered, widening slightly when she saw me walking in with Nathan and Emma. I watched her expression shift from surprise to calculation in a heartbeat. Nathan, she called out, waving him over. You made it, and I see you found my sister. We met in the garden, Nathan explained as we approached. Emma was making friends as usual. Emma, still clutching my hand, held it up proudly. Cassie was sad, but we fixed it. Stephanie's smile tightened at the edges. Oh, she was just getting some fresh air. Were you? Nathan asked me softly, his eyes searching mine. It's a little warm in here, I said, refusing to give her the satisfaction. Well, you're just in time for the cake, Stephanie said, her attention now focused entirely on Nathan. We were waiting until everyone arrived. Sorry we're late, Nathan said. Hospital emergency, you know how it is. Of course, Stephanie touched his arm with a practiced familiarity. I'm just glad you could make it. I saved you seats at the main table. I wasn't surprised when her gesture indicated only 2 chairs, for Nathan and Emma. I was not included in the invitation. Actually, Nathan said, looking at me, I promised Cassie she could sit with us. Emma's already made a friend. I like her, Emma stated, matter-of-factly. She doesn't talk to me like I'm a baby. Stephanie's expression flickered between annoyance and the need to maintain her hostess with the mostest composure. Well, I'm sure we can squeeze in another chair, she said finally. As we moved toward the table, I noticed several of Stephanie's friends watching our little group with keen interest. My sister had always been the center of attention, especially at social events. Having the handsome new doctor's attention diverted to me was clearly an unexpected development. The cake was a masterpiece of baby blue fondant and delicate sugar decorations. It's beautiful, I said sincerely. Isn't it? Stephanie preened. The bakery has a 6-month waiting list, but when I explained I was a doctor, they made an exception. My eyes met Nathan's, and he gave me a subtle, amused look that suggested he found her comment as unnecessarily boastful as I did. Our mother appeared with a cake knife. Stephanie, dear, everyone's waiting. Shall we cut the cake? Of course. Stephanie positioned herself perfectly for photos, gesturing for her husband, David, to join her. While everyone focused on the cake-cutting ceremony, Emma tugged on my sleeve. Do you like butterflies? She whispered. I love butterflies, I whispered back, especially monarchs like the one you found. She beamed. Me too. I have a whole book about them at home. Daddy got it for me from the library. That sounds like a wonderful book. You could come see it sometime, she suggested with childhood ease. We have a big backyard. Maybe the butterflies will visit us. Nathan, overhearing, looked momentarily abashed. Emma, Ms. Anderson is probably very busy with her work. It's Cassie, I corrected him gently, and I'm never too busy for butterflies. Emma shot her father a triumphant look. See, she can come visit. Nathan's smile was apologetic, but warm. Maybe we should start with cake before we plan social calls. As plates of cake were passed around, I found myself actually enjoying the moment. Emma chattered about her school, her new house, and how her dad couldn't cook anything except spaghetti and grilled cheese. Nathan occasionally tried to stop her from revealing too many family secrets, which only made her stories more charming. Across the table, Stephanie watched our interaction with growing irritation. The moment shattered when Emma accidentally knocked over her glass of punch, sending a jet of red liquid directly onto Stephanie's pale blue dress. Oh my God! Stephanie gasped, jumping up as the stain spread across her belly. I'm sorry! Emma's eyes widened in horror. Before Nathan could react, I was grabbing napkins. It's okay, Emma. Accidents happen. Stephanie, if you blot it quickly and run cold water on it, it won't set. This dress is designer, Stephanie snapped, dabbing uselessly at the spreading stain. Then you definitely need to handle it properly, I said calmly. Do you have a change of clothes? In my overnight bag, she admitted grudgingly. Perfect. Why don't you go change and I'll take care of this? I've gotten red wine out of white sofas before. Punch on polyester will be easy. Nathan watched me with something close to admiration as I efficiently cleaned the spill and reassured Emma that everything was fine. You handled that very well, he said quietly while Stephanie was gone. I deal with panicking clients all the time, I shrugged. A little punch is nothing compared to the client who let their new puppy loose on a brand new white carpet. Emma, recovering from her mortification, giggled. What happened to the puppy? The puppy was fine, I assured her. And eventually, so was the carpet. When Stephanie returned in a different dress, the gift-opening portion of the party continued. Nathan's gift was a small, handcrafted wooden music box that played a lullaby. It was Emma's when she was a baby, he explained. It always helped her sleep. Stephanie's expression softened for the first time that day. How thoughtful, Nathan. Thank you. I watched the exchange, intrigued. There was a story there, in the music box, in Nathan's decision to give something so personal, in Emma's solemn nod of approval as her father handed it over. As the party began to wind down, I found myself reluctant to leave. Despite the earlier humiliation, the afternoon had taken an unexpected turn. I was helping gather discarded wrapping paper when Nathan approached me again. Emma and I are going to head out soon, he said. She has school tomorrow, and I have early rounds. It was so lovely meeting you both, I said sincerely, and thank you for the rescue in the garden. Any time. He hesitated, then added, I was serious about my house needing help. Would it be all right if I called you, professionally? Before I could answer, Stephanie materialized at his side. Nathan, you're leaving? Let me walk you out. There was something I wanted to ask you about that patient case we discussed last week. She practically steered him away, leaving me standing alone with a handful of crumpled wrapping paper. I sighed and turned to find a trash bag, only to nearly bump into Emma. Daddy likes you, she informed me matter-of-factly. He gets extra talky when he likes someone. I couldn't help but smile. Is that so? She nodded, her expression serious. Just as she was pulled away by her father's call, Stephanie's voice, sharp and laced with ice, cut through the air. Oh, please! She had been watching, and now that her prize guest was gone, the pretense was over. She rolled her eyes. You always act so above it all with your fancy career and your downtown apartment. Some of us wanted a family, a normal life. And you think I don't? The words tore out of me. You think I chose to be single at 34? That I don't want what you have? Well, you've certainly never acted like it, always too busy with your career for a serious relationship. Too picky, too independent. Too independent? I repeated, incredulous. Is that a bad thing now? Should I have just settled for someone who wasn't right for me, just to check marriage off some list? You didn't even try. Stephanie's voice rose to match mine. You broke up with Brian when he wanted to get serious. You work 60-hour weeks, you barely date. It's like you're afraid of having what Mom and Dad have. What Mom and Dad have isn't the only definition of happiness. I was practically shouting now. And for your information, Brian gave me an ultimatum. He didn't care what I wanted or needed. He just wanted a wife who would put his career first and have his children on his timeline. At least he wanted to marry you. Do you know how many women would be grateful for that? I don't want someone to be grateful to marry. I want someone who loves me for who I am, not who he can mold me into. We were standing face to face, years of resentment finally boiling over. A throat clearing from the doorway made us both whip around. My mother stood there, her expression a mixture of concern and disapproval. Girls, people can hear you in the main room. What on earth is going on? Stephanie immediately burst into tears, her hand flying to her belly in a gesture that felt calculated for maximum sympathy. Cassie is screaming at me. At my own baby shower. The stress isn't good for the baby. I opened my mouth to protest the blatant manipulation, but my mother was already rushing to Stephanie's side. Cassandra, your sister is pregnant. Whatever this is, surely it can wait. It was so predictable, it was almost funny. Of course, Stephanie's feelings always came first. Her milestones were more important. Her life choices were the right ones. That's not fair, I said, my voice shaking. Cassie, not now. No, it's not fair. I cut her off, the dam finally breaking. When was the last time either of you asked about my business without changing the subject? When were you ever as proud of my feature in a magazine as you were of Stephanie's medical school graduation? When did you ever defend me when relatives asked why I was still single instead of joining in on the interrogation? My mother looked genuinely stunned into silence. We're proud of you, Cassie. We always have been. No, I countered, my voice tight. You've always been worried that I wasn't following the script, worried I'd end up alone, worried I wasn't like Stephanie. That's not true, Mom insisted, but her eyes wouldn't meet mine. It is true, Stephanie said unexpectedly. But it's because we care about you. You're all alone in that apartment, working all the time. No partner to support you. I'm not alone. I have friends. I have colleagues. I have a life that I've built for myself, and I'm proud of it. I took a deep breath. And I don't need your pity or your concern. I need your respect. Respect has to be earned, Cassie, she shot back. And building a successful business from scratch doesn't earn it. Being financially independent doesn't earn it. Creating a life on my own terms doesn't earn it. What would earn your respect, Stephanie? Marrying the first man who asked? Having a baby because society says it's time? Stop it, both of you, Mom interrupted. This is ridiculous. You're sisters, family. Being family doesn't give her the right to belittle me, I said quietly, and it doesn't give you the right to always take her side. Mom's face flushed. I don't always take her side. Name one time you didn't, I challenged. The silence that followed was answer enough. I think I should go, I said finally. Congratulations on the baby, Stephanie. I hope he grows up in a family that values individuality more than conformity. I walked out of the kitchen, past David, who had clearly overheard at least part of the argument. He had the good grace to look uncomfortable. I grabbed my purse from where I'd left it and headed for the door without a backward glance. Outside, the spring night was cool and clear. I took a deep breath, feeling both exhausted and somehow lighter. After years of trying to win an approval I would never get, I had finally stood up for myself and my choices. Cassie. I turned to find Nathan standing by his car, Emma buckled in the back seat. I thought you'd left, I said, surprised. Emma forgot her sweater, he explained, holding up the butterfly-covered cardigan. Are you all right? You seem upset. Just family drama, I said, attempting a smile. Nothing new. He watched me for a moment. We were going to stop for ice cream on the way home. Emma's reward for being so good at the party. Would you like to join us? Ice cream solves most things, according to Emma's life philosophy. The kindness in his offer nearly undid me. I'd love that, I admitted. But I drove here, so I'd have to follow you. Perfect, he said, pulling out his phone. Give me your number, and I'll text you the address. As I recited my number, I noticed he already had a pen mark on the palm of his hand, just as Emma had said. The thought made me smile, in spite of everything. The ice cream parlor was a small, family-run spot called Scoops. Emma led us to the best table by the window, informing me with authority that the strawberry was good, but the chocolate was better. Nathan watched her with a look of amused affection. She's not wrong about the chocolate, he confided as we waited for our order, though I'm partial to the mint chocolate chip myself. Mint chocolate chip has always been my favorite, too, I admitted. Emma wrinkled her nose. Mint tastes like toothpaste. The wisdom of children, Nathan laughed, always gets right to the heart of the matter. Our ice cream arrived, chocolate for Emma and mint chip for Nathan and me. And for a few minutes we enjoyed it in companionable silence. Then Nathan finally said, his tone gentle, Do you want to talk about what happened back there? You seemed pretty shaken when you left. I hesitated, stirring my ice cream thoughtfully. Family's complicated. My sister and I have just never really seen eye to eye. Sisters can be like that, he nodded. My brother and I are polar opposites, too. It's not just that we're different, I tried to explain. It's that my family sees her life choices as the right ones, and mine as temporary. Like I'm just biding my time until I get with the program, get married, and have kids. And that's not what you want? He asked, treading carefully. It's not that I don't want those things. I just want them on my terms, with the right person, when it makes sense for my life. Not because it's what's expected. I get that, he said. Life rarely follows the plan anyway. Something in his tone made me look up. Is that what happened with you and Emma? His eyes drifted to his daughter, who was happily creating an ice cream mustache. In a way, Caroline, my wife, and I had a whole life mapped out. Career milestones, 2 kids, a house in the suburbs. Then she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer when Emma was 4. 18 months later, she was gone. Nathan, I'm so sorry, I said softly. He gave me a sad smile. The point is, you can do everything right, and life still throws you a curveball. So you might as well live authentically in the meantime. Emma looked up. Are you talking about Mommy again? Just a little bit, sweetheart, Nathan said gently. Emma nodded solemnly. Daddy says it's okay to be sad sometimes, but we have to remember the good stuff too. She turned to me. Do you want to see my picture? I made it while you were talking. She pushed a napkin across the table. On it, she'd drawn 3 stick figures, a tall one with spiky hair labeled Daddy, a small one with curly hair labeled Me, and a medium-sized one with long hair labeled Cassie. That's a beautiful picture, Emma, I said, genuinely touched. Thank you for including me. You're welcome. You can keep it if you want. I folded the napkin carefully and tucked it into my purse. I'll treasure it. A week later, Nathan called about his house. What started as a professional consultation turned into dinner after Emma was put to bed. We talked until midnight, discovering a shared taste in music, books, and terrible old movies. He was easy to talk to, thoughtful, funny, and refreshingly direct. Our relationship developed naturally over the following months. I helped him turn his house from a sterile, just-moved-in space into a warm home that reflected his and Emma's personalities. He listened to my stories about difficult clients and family tensions without judgment. Emma and I planted a butterfly garden in their backyard, complete with milkweed for the monarchs. 3 months after the baby shower, Stephanie gave birth to a healthy baby boy. I sent flowers and a gift, but didn't visit the hospital. A week later, Nathan encouraged me to reach out. Family's complicated, he reminded me, using my own words. But they're still family. I went to her house alone, armed with another gift, and lowered expectations. Stephanie answered the door, looking exhausted but happy. Baby James nestled on her shoulder. Cassie, she said, surprise evident in her voice. I wasn't expecting you. I can go if it's a bad time, I offered. No, come in. She stepped back. James just ate, so he'll be good for a little while. The visit was awkward at first, but when she placed James in my arms, something shifted. My nephew was tiny and perfect, his little hand wrapping around my finger with surprising strength. He's beautiful, Steph, I said sincerely. He is, isn't he? Her face softened with love as she gazed at her son. It's harder than I expected. The sleepless nights, the constant worry. I thought being a pediatrician, I'd have it all figured out. Nobody has it all figured out, I said, thinking of Nathan's words about life and its curveballs. I'm sorry for what I said at the shower, Stephanie said suddenly. It was cruel and uncalled for. I was jealous. Jealous of what? Of your freedom, your success, the fact that you've built something that's entirely yours. She sighed. Don't get me wrong, I love David, and I wanted this baby more than anything. But sometimes I look at your life and wonder what it would be like to answer only to myself. It was perhaps the most honest conversation we'd ever had. We didn't solve everything that day, but it was a start. The first time I brought Nathan to a family dinner, my parents were visibly surprised. They had met him briefly at the hospital after James was born, but hadn't connected him to me. Emma charmed them immediately with stories about our butterfly garden. So how did you two meet? Dad asked over dessert. At Stephanie's baby shower, Nathan answered easily. Emma found Cassie in the garden and decided we should be friends. Best decision I ever made, Emma declared proudly. Mom watched us throughout dinner, a thoughtful expression on her face. While Nathan and Dad were talking about baseball, she pulled me aside in the kitchen. He seems nice, she said cautiously. He is, I confirmed, and kind and smart and a wonderful father. And you're happy? I considered the question seriously. I am, but not because I finally found someone, Mom. I was happy before. This is just a different kind of happy. She nodded slowly. I think I'm starting to understand that now. I'm sorry if we ever made you feel like your choices weren't valid, Cassie. We just wanted you to have what made us happy. I know, I said, surprising myself by believing it, but I needed to find my own version of happy. As fall turned to winter, Nathan and I grew closer. Emma asked if I would help decorate their Christmas tree, and then if I would join them on Christmas morning. By spring, I was spending more nights at their house than at my own apartment. One evening, as we were planting new flowers in the butterfly garden that had become our project, Nathan asked casually, "Have you ever thought about moving in here? Officially, I mean." I sat back on my heels, dirt smudging my gardening gloves. "Are you asking me to move in with you?" "I'm asking if you've thought about it," he clarified with a smile. "Emma and I have quite a lot, actually. And what does Emma think of the idea? Why don't you ask her yourself?" I turned to find Emma standing behind me, holding a small velvet box with a solemn expression. "Emma, what's that?" I asked, my heart starting to race. "Daddy said I could hold it for him," she explained, "because I found you first." Nathan took the box from her and knelt beside me in the garden. This isn't how I planned to do this. I had a whole speech prepared about right timing and second chances and how you made our house a home before you even moved in. But the truth is simpler than that. He opened the box to reveal a vintage emerald ring. "I love you, Cassie. Emma loves you. We would love for you to officially be part of our family. Will you marry me?" I looked from Nathan to Emma, who was watching me with hopeful eyes, and thought about how far I'd come from that humiliating moment at the baby shower. In the end, I had found love not by compromising who I was or rushing to meet some arbitrary timeline, but by being authentically myself until I found someone who valued that. "Yes," I said, happy tears blurring my vision. "Yes, to both of you." Emma threw her arms around my neck. "I knew you'd say yes. Can I be the flower girl? And can we get a puppy now?" Nathan laughed. "One life-changing decision at a time, Your Highness." As he slipped the ring on my finger, I realized the family I was building wasn't the one I had pictured as a young girl. It was better, richer, more authentic, because it had formed in its own perfect time. A year after Stephanie's baby shower, I stood in her backyard watching Emma chase James, now a wobbly 1-year-old, across the grass. Nathan was in an animated conversation with David by the grill, the two of them laughing about something. My parents sat nearby, Mom bouncing baby Rose, Stephanie's surprise second pregnancy, on her knee. "Who knew we'd end up here?" Stephanie said, joining me with 2 glasses of lemonade. I took one gratefully. "Certainly not me. Not after that shower. God, I was awful to you that day." She shook her head. "Pregnancy hormones are no excuse for being a terrible sister." "Water under the bridge," I assured her. Over the past year, we had gradually rebuilt our relationship on more honest terms. It wasn't perfect, but it was real in a way it had never been before. "So," she gestured to my simple engagement ring, "have you set a date?" "September," I said. "A small ceremony, just family and close friends." "And Emma wants to release butterflies instead of throwing rice?" "Of course she does." Stephanie smiled fondly at her future niece. "She's something else, that kid." "She really is," I agreed, watching Emma carefully help James up a small step. "She's the one who found me crying in the garden that day." "So, my awful comment actually led you to the love of your life?" Stephanie raised an eyebrow. "You're not going to thank me, are you?" I laughed. "Let's not go that far. But I've made my peace with it. Everything in its own time, right?" The past year had been one of profound change and growth. Nathan, Emma, and I had created our own little family unit, built on mutual respect and understanding. My design business had expanded, and I'd hired 2 assistants to help manage the workload. I was still working hard, but I'd finally found a balance that let me be present for school plays and family dinners. My mom drew near, with Rose in her arms. "This little one needs her Aunt Cassie," she declared, shifting the baby into my arms. "She's been fussy all morning, but I bet you can work your magic." I nestled Rose against my chest, breathing in her sweet baby scent. There was a time when holding a baby would have made me tense up, acutely aware of all the expectations and judgments behind the gesture. But now, I just savored the moment for what it was. "You're a natural," Mom observed. "I've had practice with James," I pointed out, And Emma's been giving me lessons on proper doll-holding technique." "Doll-holding is serious business," Mom agreed with a solemn nod. After a pause, she added, "I'm sorry we pushed you so hard about marriage and kids. Seeing you with Nathan and Emma, I see now that everyone's timing is different." "Thank you for saying that," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "It means a lot." "Your father and I were actually talking about it last night," she continued, "about how much happier you seem. Not because you're getting married, but because you found your own way, on your own terms." Rose gurgled and grabbed for my necklace, effectively ending the moment, but it left me with a warm glow of validation I'd been seeking for so long. Later, as Nathan and I were driving home with a sleepy Emma in the back seat, I found myself reflecting on the past year's journey. "Penny for your thoughts," Nathan asked, reaching for my hand across the console. "I was just thinking about how different everything is from a year ago," I said. "How much has changed." "Any regrets?" he asked, his tone light, but I could hear the real question beneath it. "None," I assured him, squeezing his hand. "I was just thinking about what I've learned, that family isn't always who or what you expect, that happiness doesn't follow a prescribed timeline, that sometimes the most painful moments lead to the most beautiful destinations." "That's pretty profound for a Sunday night," he teased gently. "I have my moments," I echoed his words from our first date. "Few and far between, but they happen." In the rearview mirror, I could see Emma, her head bobbing as she fought off sleep. This unexpected family of mine, a widower still healing, a little girl with coppery curls and a butterfly obsession, and me, finally comfortable in my own skin. It wasn't what I had pictured for myself. It was better, because it was real and earned and chosen. The family I found didn't come in the order society expects. There was pain and loss and growth before we found each other. But waiting for the right connection, instead of forcing the wrong one, gave me something more authentic than I ever could have imagined. As we pulled into the driveway, the house filled with the little touches of all three of us, I felt a deep sense of peace. The journey matters just as much as the destination. My path was winding and difficult at times, but it led me exactly where I needed to be, right when I needed to be there. Have you ever had a moment where someone's criticism or judgment unexpectedly led you to something beautiful? Or found that your life took a different path than you expected, but turned out better for it? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. And if this journey resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might also need to hear that their timeline is valid too. Thank you for being a part of my story today. And remember, the right people will love you for exactly who you are, right where you are.